Costco recently quietly implemented a series of some of its biggest changes in years. From tightening membership card rules and changing packaging to discontinuing a legendary menu item and even canceling longtime members' accounts without prior notice, these changes have sparked plenty of complaints. But are they truly a disadvantage, as recent criticism suggests, or are they actually an opportunity for you to turn them to your advantage? Let's analyze each change so you can decide for yourself. Tightening membership control with digital scanners. If you visited Costco recently and noticed the entry process felt different, you're not imagining it. The days of simply showing the back of your card to an employee and walking straight in are gone. Now, automated scanning kiosks display the cardholder's photo directly on the door clerk's screen for verification. This process also applies to both the food court and the self-checkout area. During the first week of the rollout at a California location, employees described the entrance around 10 a.m. on a weekend as having a line nearly 20 people long. Not because the machines were broken, but because shoppers only started digging through their wallets once they reached the door. Seniors struggled with the touch screen, while younger shoppers kept their heads down, staring at their phones and searching for the QR code. Inconvenient? Absolutely. There's no denying that. However, a longtime member in California left a comment on Reddit that received thousands of upvotes: "I pay $130 a year. I shouldn't have to wait in line behind someone using their cousin's card." This isn't just a bitter rant. It reflects a reality that many honest members have quietly tolerated for a long time. Card sharing, borrowing from relatives, or group shopping on a single account was hardly rare. When Costco allowed that to continue, the lost revenue ultimately had to be recovered somewhere, and shelf prices could be one of the areas affected. If you're worried about the inconvenience, the solution takes less than 30 seconds. Download the Costco app, pull up your digital membership card, and have it ready before walking in from the parking lot. Passing through the scanner takes less than 2 seconds. No digging through your wallet and no holding up the line behind you. This change is fair and reasonable. It's mainly frustrating for those who became comfortable taking advantage of the old loophole. Rotisserie chicken packaging transition. Thousands of people are arguing over a plastic bag at Costco. It sounds absurd until you understand what's really being affected behind it. Costco's $4.99 rotisserie chicken is one of the rare products that has held its price steady despite years of rising inflation. But stepping into 2026, it isn't the chicken that changed. It's what wraps around it. The familiar clear, hard plastic dome container used for decades has been discontinued and replaced with a flexible, standing zip-top plastic pouch. The online backlash exploded quickly. Customers complain that the flexible pouch leaks grease into their trunks if it isn't kept upright, that the chicken skin gets soggy from steam building up inside the sealed bag, and that it's harder to see through the packaging and choose the biggest bird in the batch. Some even raised concerns about flexible plastic coming into contact with hot food. A shopper in Texas posted a TikTok video showing a grease-stained trunk, and the clip quickly went viral, drawing thousands of sympathetic comments. Those concerns aren't completely without merit. However, here's the part many people overlook while venting their frustration. Switching to flexible bags cuts Costco's plastic usage by 75% across its entire rotisserie chicken lineup, equivalent to saving more than 17 million pounds of virgin plastic every year. A single pallet of flexible pouches can hold the equivalent volume of 5 pallets of the old rigid plastic containers, cutting more than 1,000 truckloads per year. More importantly, the savings from packaging and shipping are part of how Costco can keep the price at $4.99 while poultry costs continue to rise. Do you want the price to remain the same, or do you want to keep the old plastic container? In reality, it's difficult to have both at the same time. As for the grease leak issue, there's a simple workaround. Keep the bag upright or place it inside a reusable tote in your car. If the chicken skin gets soft, open the bag as soon as you get home and put the chicken in the oven for a few minutes to restore the crispiness. These aren't impossible inconveniences. They're simply new habits that take a little time to develop. The chicken is still the same chicken, only the outer packaging has changed. Discontinuing the combo pizza. Then there's the story of a Costco food court item that vanished despite tens of thousands of people signing petitions to bring it back, and why Costco's refusal to back down may be harder to dispute than you think. Certain things are so deeply connected to shopping memories that when they disappear, the reaction isn't just about inconvenience. It feels like losing something familiar. The combo pizza at the Costco food court was one of those things. The official decision to eliminate it, despite Change.org petition campaigns gathering tens of thousands of signatures, became one of the most emotionally charged moves in the Costco community in recent years. To understand why Costco didn't back down despite such intense pressure, you have to look at how the food court actually operates. The combo pizza had too many fresh ingredients: bell peppers, onions, mushrooms, sausage, and olives, with customers frequently making custom modification requests. This constantly disrupted the automated pizza baking line, stretched prep times, and increased ingredient waste in ways that were extremely difficult to manage efficiently across hundreds of warehouse locations. The calzone was introduced as a replacement because it features fixed ingredient portions sealed inside a crust, requires no custom requests, and can potentially deliver significantly higher sales volume. The problem is that the calzone wasn't received the way Costco hoped. A member on a Costco discussion forum shared, "I tried the calzone 3 times, and all 3 times I left half of it behind. The crust is too thick. There isn't enough filling, and it just doesn't give you that feeling of pulling a hot slice of pizza off the tray like I've done for 15 years. That feedback isn't an isolated case. According to many complaints, the crust feels overly thick, the ratio of filling to cheese is unbalanced, and most importantly, it fails to deliver the same experience as a crispy, freshly baked slice of pizza that shoppers have grown accustomed to. A calzone is essentially a folded, sealed pizza, but when you try to fold up 15 or 20 years of nostalgia, the result is never quite equal. Costco's business strategy made sense, but the execution was lacking. If the calzone were truly excellent, this controversy probably wouldn't have continued for so long. The real flaw wasn't necessarily in discontinuing the combo pizza, it was in failing to replace it with something customers considered equally satisfying. It was in the quality of what was brought in to replace it. This is one of those rare instances where customer complaints reflect a genuine product issue rather than mere emotional pushback. New option for the $1.50 combo. Costco's $1.50 hot dog and soda combo is one of the very few things that hasn't changed price in nearly 40 years, from 1985 all the way to now. While everything around it has jumped in price, that $1.50 figure has stayed firmly in place, so consistently that many view it as living proof that Costco is still on the shopper's side. Stepping into 2026, Costco didn't raise the price of this combo, but they quietly added an option that most customers haven't realized yet. You can now swap out the 20-ounce fountain soda for a 16-ounce Kirkland Signature purified bottled water, still for the exact same $1.50, without adding a single cent. This choice isn't prominently advertised at the counter. Employees don't actively mention it, and most shoppers only spot it when they happen to pause and look closely at the kiosk screen instead of tapping through quickly out of habit. For people who need to manage their sugar intake, this can make a genuine difference between a worry-free meal and one that requires careful calculation. A longtime member in Seattle shared on a Costco forum that he had stopped visiting the food court for 2 years because he couldn't drink soda. When his son pointed out the bottled water option on the kiosk screen, his immediate reaction was, "Why didn't anyone tell me this sooner?" That question actually has a pretty clear answer. Costco has little incentive to broadly advertise an option that could reduce their food court beverage revenue. There's another practical point that few people notice. In cities or states that enforce an excise tax on sugary drinks, like Seattle or parts of California, choosing bottled water keeps your order at an exact $1.50 without triggering additional sugar tax fees. Next time you're standing in front of the kiosk, don't tap through too fast. The option is right there. It just wasn't designed to jump out at you on your first try. Costco just raised its membership fees right when everything else is getting more expensive. Up next, you'll learn when upgrading your card is actually worth it and when it's not. Membership fee hike and the trend toward smaller packaging. Costco has officially raised its membership fees. The Gold Star tier went from $60 to $65, and the Executive tier went from $120 to $130 per year. This isn't the first time Costco has done this. They've increased fees multiple times throughout their history, and each time triggered a similar wave of pushback. What makes this round feel different is the timing, hitting right in the middle of an inflationary stretch where households are forced to rethink every single line item in their budget. The backlash across consumer news outlets has been fairly intense. Many critics point out that with food prices climbing and the cost of living surging, it feels tone-deaf for a brand built on keeping prices low to raise its membership fees right now. A widely shared comment on Twitter read, "Costco raising fees by $10 while I'm out here debating whether I should buy a pack of yogurt." That sentiment is real, and it accurately reflects how a segment of budget-conscious members feels. Looking back at history, though, Costco only bumps its membership fee once every 5 to 7 years. The previous price hike was back in 2017, meaning they held the line for nearly a decade while operating costs, employee wages, and logistics expenses all rose significantly. The $5 increase for Gold Star and $10 for Executive breaks down to less than $1 a month. That's a relatively modest adjustment compared with the cost pressures Costco is absorbing behind the scenes to keep shelf prices low. Costco's membership renewal rate consistently stays above 90%, even after fee hikes, a number that speaks volumes about whether members still find real value in their card. Hand in hand with the fee increase is another emerging trend. Instead of only offering the massive, oversized bulk packs shoppers are used to, Costco is testing somewhat more modest pack sizes at select locations to better fit smaller modern households. This rollout isn't widespread yet, but it's being watched closely. For singles or two-person households, this could be a welcome shift that prevents overbuying and food spoilage. For bulk shoppers who count on buying massive quantities to maximize unit savings, however, that's a completely different story. Costco recently activated a tracking system that most members don't even know exists, and it's directly impacting the accounts of those who abuse the return policy. Tightening account cancellation policies for return abuse. Costco's 100% satisfaction guaranteed refund policy remains fully intact on paper. Recently, several members have received account termination notices without prior warning, sending a wave of anxiety through the shopping community. Is Costco scaling back its famous return policy? The short answer is no. But there's a longer story worth understanding. Costco has activated a historical account data analytics system to detect systematic patterns of abuse, and they are canceling memberships in those cases. Incidents uncovered on Reddit and Costco employee forums reveal truly unbelievable levels of abuse. A kayak rental business owner bought 12 kayaks in May for summer commercial use, then returned all of them in September for a 100% refund. One customer brought back a refrigerator after using it for an entire decade. Another returned food that was 80% consumed, claiming it didn't taste right. It might sound absurd, but Costco employees share that these cases are far from rare, and the costs from such abusive returns accumulate into numbers large enough to impact operations. Costco's generous policy has survived for so long because the overwhelming majority of members use it as intended. When a small fraction exploits it like a free rental service, those costs ultimately get absorbed elsewhere in the system. What worries many members is that the line between using the policy correctly and getting flagged isn't always obvious. In reality, Costco's system doesn't look at individual transactions in isolation. It looks at the bigger picture of your account history over time. Someone returning a defective TV after 2 months will never be flagged. That's precisely why the policy exists. But for someone who returns 5 TVs in 3 years with constantly changing reasons, or someone who buys expensive electronics before every holiday season and returns them right afterward, the system spots that behavioral pattern automatically without requiring any manual tracking by employees. That if you're reading this and wondering whether you might accidentally end up on that watch list, the practical answer is simple: if you even have to ask yourself that question, chances are you aren't on it. The cancelled memberships involved clear, systematic abuse, not everyday shoppers using the return policy for its intended purpose. Digitizing the bakery ordering process. If you've ever ordered a birthday cake or a party platter at the Costco bakery counter, you know what that process looks like: a paper order form filled out by hand, handed to an employee, and then returning to pick it up on a different day. That system was in place for decades. And for decades, it also caused lost orders, misread handwriting, or customers showing up for pickup only for staff to find no record of the order. Stepping into 2026, Costco has begun phasing out those paper forms entirely, shifting the bakery and catering order process over to their mobile app. The response from a segment of traditional members has been somewhat hesitant. On online forums, many expressed concerns about the app glitching right when they urgently need to order a cake, or felt that Costco was losing its classic touch by forcing customers to use smartphones. One senior member in Florida shared, "I've been ordering my grandson's birthday cake at the bakery counter every year since 2003. Now they're telling me I have to use an app. I don't even know where to start." That sentiment is real and deserves to be heard. Looking at the actual data, however, paints a clearer picture. Costco app traffic surged by 40% during this period, showing that the majority of members are far more comfortable interacting digitally with Costco than many might think. The old paper ordering system didn't just lose orders. It also forced shoppers to make two separate trips to the warehouse, once to place the order and once to pick it up. For someone living 30 minutes away from the warehouse, that meant an hour and a half of drive time just for a cake. Ordering through the app solves that problem completely without altering anything else about the shopping experience. Hand in hand with this rollout is a scan-and-go test run across 27 warehouse locations, allowing shoppers to scan product barcodes with their phones while walking the aisles and pay directly in the app without going through a checkout line. Real-world results from test warehouses show checkout speeds jumped by up to 20%, bringing transaction times down to under 10 seconds per customer. Long checkout lines have historically been the top complaint among Costco shoppers, making this the first major technological solution directly targeting that bottleneck. In this regard, Costco is catching up with Sam's Club, a competitor that introduced Scan and Go much earlier to overwhelmingly positive user feedback. For those apprehensive about technology, it's worth noting that Scan and Go and app-based ordering aren't mandatory, at least not during the current testing phase. Traditional checkout lanes are still there, but if you're already used to shopping on your phone elsewhere, this is a feature worth trying because it directly addresses one of the biggest complaints among Costco shoppers. I have 3 tips to help you make the most of these recent changes. Not generic advice, but practical, actionable steps you can apply on your very next shopping trip. Bonus cost optimization tips. Costco's changes in 2026 create a bit of initial inconvenience, but looking at the bigger picture, most of them have practical solutions if you know what to do. First, regarding memberships, if your household has 2 people holding separate individual executive accounts, now is the time to merge them under one primary account and issue a free household card to the second person. You could instantly save $130 in annual renewal fees without losing any shopping privileges. Many households are paying for 2 separate memberships simply because they've never sat down to evaluate whether it's actually necessary. As for upgrading to the executive membership, there's a simple rule of thumb. If your household's annual spending at Costco is under $3,250, which breaks down to roughly under $270 a month, the 2% cash back won't cover the $65 price difference compared to the basic Gold Star membership. Once you spend above that threshold, the executive tier starts delivering real value. Furthermore, if you upgrade and your annual cash back reward fails to cover that $65 difference, Costco will refund the remaining balance in cash at the customer service desk. A little-known policy that eliminates virtually all risk from upgrading. With the new card scanners at the entrance, the simplest workaround is to download the Costco app, save your digital membership card, and open it before walking in from the parking lot. You'll pass through the entrance in under 2 seconds. No digging through your wallet. No keeping the line behind you waiting. One small habit makes the entire entry process almost a non-issue. And as for the return policy, as long as you use it for its intended purpose, you have nothing to worry about. Defective items, subpar food quality, or electronics that don't perform as advertised all fall within standard use, and Costco's system will not flag those cases. This change targets only systematic abuse, not everyday shoppers exercising their membership rights responsibly. Costco isn't changing to make things harder for you, but rather to protect the very things you pay for: low prices, consistent quality, and a fair policy. Properly understanding each change is the best way for you to continue getting the absolute most value out of your membership.